with Benji Brady. Welcome in to episode 16. I'm excited to be here with you y'all.
1-6.
Christmas episode. This Benji's you should be joyful. This is your
favorite time of year.
You start this basically in August.
I was going to start out and ask you guys this question. So, truth be told, when did you put your Christmas tree up, or have you put your Christmas tree up?
Is it when did I put it up, or when did my wife make me pull stuff down?
Either one.
Okay, real quick before we jump in the episode, I'm a believer that we need to celebrate America being found, and that we don't need to skip over
Adam,
Thanksgiving.
I knew I liked you. I'm 100% with you. We do not need to forget the Pilgrims.
No, we skip a holiday. I kid you not. We finished Halloween. The girls were still sorting through their candy, and Emily said, "Do you want to get the Christmas stuff done?"
Nope.
The reason I asked the question, I know we are just a few days away from Christmas. We've had our tree up since October 30th. No joke.
I remember Sarah posted something, and she said, "Don't at me for having my tree up." And I sent her a message. I was like, "Yo, it's still like 90 degrees outside."
But no, Christmas is my favorite time of the year. But before we get into the whole Christmas, theme again, we're just a few days away. I wanted to point out, we actually had someone text in about one of our recent episodes, and they actually, contrary to popular belief, people do like Starbucks, Adam. And this gentleman said, "I actually ordered your Starbucks drink." He sent us a picture of the exact order, and it was to the T, exactly what I get. And he goes, "I will drink that again, no question about it." And even, honestly, even more than that, what was really hitting to us was he said the timing was perfect about that episode, about making people happy, be happy. And he said we actually were having that same conversation with our employees, and it was a timely episode. So, hey, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys very much. It means a lot. But as we were getting ready to plan for this episode and just talking about Christmas, I thought it would be fun to kind of go down memory lane a little bit because the title, The Heart of Christmas, what does that mean to you? It puts an emphasis on giving. You've got personal stories. So I wanted to start out and ask both of you a personal story.
Oh, man.
Let's start with Brady. What was your favorite? And again, we're brothers, so he may have a different one than me, and that's great. What is your favorite Christmas memory that you ever had growing up?
Is this going to be from when he was a kid? Because were you ever a kid, or did you come out like running businesses?
What's your favorite?
So I think two things come to mind. One is I remember one Christmas, a bicycle that I got, and it was just the coolest bike because it was a you get some of these bicycles and they got the gear shifters, on the handlebars. But this one had a gear shifter like in the middle, like what you would see in a car nowadays. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. But I think the other thing was, and Benji, I might be stealing your thunder here a little bit, but every single Christmas, at least as long as I can remember, Benji and I would come out on Christmas morning and there would be fireworks just all over the floor in our living room. And it was like one of those things you forgot about, but you got excited about when it comes to it, because that's one thing that our dad did, is just he loved fireworks, and we knew Christmas morning was going to be tons of fireworks.
Adam, what's your favorite memory?
Oh, man. I remember it because I think it was in 6th or 7th grade. Anyways, I remember this was back in, you got to think, I'm 40 now. So when I was younger, skateboards were like huge when I was in middle school. And I remember I either wanted a skateboard or I wanted a Nintendo 64. Okay, that was when it first came out, like, Mario Kart, Nintendo 64, greatest system ever made.
Greatest.
And it was. Don't come, let me tell you. I have one in a box in there, and so it's phenomenal. But I remember I didn't know what I was getting for Christmas. I remember asking for both things. And I remember my mom telling me, she's like, it's supposed to be a really nice day outside. And I think deep down inside, I wanted a Nintendo 64 more than a skateboard. And
nice, she's like, colors.
Yeah. And I was like, she's like, it's supposed to be nice outside. Anyways, came down, had Nintendo 64. And I think I played that sucker all day. My poor mom was like, this was the worst gift because now he's gone. He's not going to pay
Great
attention.
job, Mr. and Miss West. Great job. I would have to agree with Brady. I was thinking he was probably going to say that. I do remember the bike he was talking about. Had the little it looked like a motocross,
Yep,
thing on the very
exactly.
front of it. But I think the greatest
It was a good
memory that
bike.
I have was when our dad, every Christmas he had fireworks, and when he didn't just have one package of fireworks, he had a ton of them. And I remember one Christmas coming out that we didn't see fireworks. Brady, I don't know if you remember this. I don't remember how old we were. We had to have been 12 and 10, something like that. And we didn't see any fireworks.
Yep.
And it was kind of like, man, what is
Wait.
going on? And
Yeah.
at the very end, Dad came out and he said, "Hey, I've got one more gift I want you guys to open." And that was it. And then, honestly, as we got older, I think I was probably, in today's world, it would be a bully to Brady, but we'd go out and have bottle rocket wars. And we didn't have just the small bottle rocket wars.
These were the big ones.
Big ones. We did the big ones, but it was a fun memory. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit, did you ever have a bad Christmas moment? Adam, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, I was trying to think about this when you hit me with it, and I was reading through the notes. I don't think I had like a bad memory. We hadn't really had anything crazy like happen with our family, or we've been very fortunate. Nothing during the holidays. I mean, I don't think it was bad, but we moved a lot, so we never, we had traditions. My dad was a Air Force chaplain for, I think it was 43 years. So we moved every 2 or 3 years. So every Christmas was different. I don't think it was bad. I think it would be more, we never really, like, one of the things we're trying to do with the girls right now is have a tradition, right? Like we're trying to, we'll be in this house for a while. This is where we are. This is where we're planted. So I don't think it's bad. I just don't think I ever really had the chance to, like, we have our traditions, like what we do on Christmas, but in terms of like maybe somewhere we go, something we do, we never really had a ton of that. Because of where we were. I would say kind of going back to good memories with that, some of the things we did, I guess if you said it wasn't be bad, one of the tough things is when we lived in Japan for several years, we didn't get to come home for Christmas, right? You're flying overseas. But I always remembered every Christmas we would do all our stuff in the morning, and then because my dad was with the chaplaincy and everybody's in the same boat, right? Like you're on an island.
Yep.
We went to the mess hall and ate with a lot of the airmen. So I think if you said bad, it was just always tough because you're like, I can't imagine being a 20-year-old. I mean, especially now being 20, 21 years old overseas during the Christmas, and you got to think this was like prior to like FaceTime. I mean, this is before cell phones were out when I was in high school. So,
Not even Skype.
None of that stuff. Nothing. I mean, I think I did have a cell phone my senior year, and I think I had 30 minutes, and then I had to throw the phone away, and then I had to start over. So, but I think if I said bad, it was just those experiences. I think it was just more. It was tougher because you got to see. Because Christmas is we've talked about this recently on our staff. Christmas is one of the loneliest times of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I would say this, dude, all of our military out there, thank you guys so much.
Yes.
We would be remiss if we did not say thank you for what you do. There are some folks that are in the military that do listen to this podcast, and we say thank you because we could not be a free country without you. And we just want to say that. Brady?
Yeah.
Bad memory, Christmas, any?
Bad memory. Well, this may be the same one that you have, and this is the way that I remember the story, and I may have it wrong, and you can correct me because you were obviously older than I was. But where Benji and I lived when we were kids, we had this backyard, and then we had this creek that ran behind the house, and behind the creek was this huge kudzu field. I don't know if Adam, you know what kudzu is?
It's
those
like
little
things that look like hot dogs on a stick?
It's like grown-up weeds everywhere.
Okay.
It's just everywhere. And so we'd go out there and, play from time to time. We were kids. And Benji and I were out there. I think somebody else was with us. And we were just kind of playing. And all of a sudden, we see, like, Christmas presents. And
I knew he was going to do this. We haven't even talked about this. This is fantastic.
And we saw, like, baseball cards. Like just everywhere. And we were like, well, this is kind of odd. And come to find out, the neighbor that we had beside us was like a menace. Like, you ever heard Dennis the Menace? Well, that was his name, was Dennis. and he had broke into our house, taken our Christmas presents. Some, not all of them, but some of them, and had like ripped them to shreds. He hated us that much, and ripped them to shreds.
True statement.
And threw them out in this kudzu field. And Benji and I mean, when we saw it, we brought all this stuff back, and we're like, "Hey, Mom and Dad, this is kind of weird. We saw this stuff back here," and they were like, "Oh my goodness!" So that's what I remember. Benji, maybe you can fill in the gaps a little bit more.
You should have had your mom on for this. I would have loved
told it perfect. That was perfect.
Okay.
Exactly the way it happened. And what's interesting about that is I collected baseball cards, football cards.
Huge collector.
And I had asked that year for the 1986 Topps MLB baseball set. And in the 1986, the reason I wanted it was because Bo Jackson's rookie card was in there. Barry Bonds' rookie card was in here. Okay.
Yep.
And I had wanted this set, and I wasn't going to open it if I got it. And I was at Christmas, and I remember I did not get to open that gift. And I thought, well, they just didn't buy it this year. No big deal. And Brady's exactly right. We went out to play, and we see these cards everywhere. And come to find out, our buddy up the street, he had gotten obviously his Christmas. He was showing his gifts, and he pulled out these two cards, and they were in a sleeve. They had taken these two cards out, put them in those plastic sleeves to protect them, and torn up everything else. So that is exactly the same memory. That is wild that we were.
It was bad. It was really bad.
True story too, Adam, about kudzu real quick. This is not a bad memory. It was kind of a fun memory. Is we took those fireworks. We were having fireworks war.
Oh, no.
We caught the kudzu on fire. Fire department.
Like fire department. I mean, yeah, it was bad.
That was just pre-shadowing for what you guys would end up doing one day. So.
Yep. Clean up after fire.
Pre-shadowing, foreshadowing,
yeah.
foreshadowing what you would do one day.
But you know, as people approach Christmas, obviously, again, we're just a few days away. Many people and even businesses give extra. You know, so it doesn't have to be financially. It could be time, energy. Obviously, people do financial contributions as well. But here, I actually looked a verse up, okay, because it's not about how much you give, what you give. It's about the heart. And there's a verse that comes to mind, 2 Corinthians 9:7. It says, "Every man according as he has purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver." And so I thought, you know what could we do on this podcast episode to inspire people to give back? And I know a lot of people do give back. We've done a couple things in our business that have helped us tremendously as being a good shepherd of the resources that we have. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But I actually looked up the number one thing that people give back during each holiday season. Would you guys have any idea what that is?
A gift that they don't want.
Yeah,
Give it back.
When you said give back, that's you're having like a serious conversation. The first thing my thought was, oh, you're doing give back gifts.
No, that's actually not. I mean, you're not wrong. Some people do that. Yes, they do. But the number one thing that people give back is serving, volunteering.
I would think so.
Yep.
And 51% of all food programs rely entirely on volunteer status. Because think about this, it doesn't really cost you anything. Think about the canned goods that you have sitting on your shelf all year long that you just forgot you bought at the grocery store, and they don't go bad. There are things that don't go bad over time. And it's the feeling of being able to help your neighbors in time of need. So I thought it would be good to share with our listeners a couple things that we do internally to help other charities and such that really helps them out. And we started this thing, Brady, I don't know how, it was probably 10 years ago now, if I had to guess. Yeah. But we call it Operation Green Wave. GREENWAVE, Green Wave, Operation Green Wave. We wanted to put an operation mindset behind it. Obviously, the green is in the business that we do every single day with ServPro, and then a wave of people being able to help us do this. So it's not just us and our people. We have other centers of influence help us with this, and it's just a little bit different approach. And Brady's actually in our Birmingham office. He's actually on the board of a company called Vineyard Family Services. They're a nonprofit, and I just wanted him to explain kind of what Vineyard Family Services does quickly, and then what we have been able to do to help support that. And then we're going to talk about at the end how much money it saves Vineyard Family Services and the income that they need to be able to do this support. And then we're going to talk about what we do in our Texas market. So Brady, tell us a little bit about Vineyard Family Services.
Yeah, so Vineyard Family Services, or AKA VFS, is what we call it. But yeah, I've served on the board there, I think, since 2010, something like that. And it's a nonprofit. It's specific to Shelby County, Alabama, but it is the whole mission is to support and help the family unit, like bringing family units back to not just local community, but get things out there in the national community. And so there's initiatives like Ward, who's the executive director, a friend of mine. You know, he's big on the fatherhood initiative and making sure that kids have, you know, a good fathers in homes. And there's a lot of stuff that's done in prison ministry, and there's things that are done with like just several youth programs. And one of the big ones is specific to Operation Green Wave is something called Backpack Buddies. And so Backpack Buddies, it's actually a national movement, but we partner with Backpack Buddies here in Shelby County. Vineyard Family Services does. And what it does is it provides food to kids in the school system that are on the free or reduced lunch program. And so what we do is we work with the local counselors. We don't know who the kids' names are, but we work with the counselors to find out who those kids are. And then what we'll do is we deliver food to the schools through the counselors, and they'll take food, like non-perishable items, because a lot of these kids, they don't have anything to eat from Friday at 3:00 when they leave school until Monday morning or Monday at lunch when they have lunch at school. So being able to feed them for over the weekend. And so what these counselors will do is we'll deliver food once a week, and then they'll actually put these non-perishable items in their backpack. So that's why it's called Backpack Buddies. And so what Operation Green Wave is we kind of, at the end of the year, we'll go out to our centers of influence and we'll get them to participate and give some of those items so that we can help Vineyard Family. It's really it's a giving it's a giving thing to offset an expense for the organization.
Well, and it's a really big push too, Brady. You know, one of the things when I was serving on the marketing team and doing that, the reason that it's also large the reason we do this time of year was these kids are home for like 2 weeks, right? And so, you know, and I know now, at least in Shelby County, you know, sometimes the schools offer lunch and breakfast. You know, kids can come. Now they got to get to the school somehow, but you know they'll offer where they'll cook it. But what they were able to do is the reason that it was such a big push was they're sending kids home with enough food for like 2 weeks, right? Like
that's right.
And so it's not just the backpack for the week. Like this is something. I mean, we were putting breakfast in there, snacks, lunch. You know, it was really to get them through the day until their parents got home. So it was phenomenal to be a part of. I mean, we were putting everything in one of those massive containers that we would put, you know, typical contents in. We were filling that sucker to the top. So and dropping it off.
It's funny you say that, Adam, because I remember the first year that we did it, we thought, you know, how cool would it be if we could, you know, provide 500 bags of food, whatever those bags. That's the way it started. And we actually, one of our marketing representatives at the time, they said, what if we got our centers of influence to help with this initiative? And we were like, well, how do we do that? So I remember Brady and Vineyard Family Services put together a list of items. It may have been something as simple as
we still use that list today. It's still I saw they shared it the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it may be as simple as like a box of Capri Sun. It might be a little granola bar box or something like that.
Pop-Tarts, Chef
feed them, you know, multiple things in one deal. And I'll never forget, it was either the first or the second year, we had a company, an insurance agency, call us and say, hey, when are you guys going to come pick the stuff up? And they said, well, we're scheduled to come, you know, next week. And they said, great, because we need to figure out if you guys can come in the next day or two, because not only have we in our office provided some bags to help you guys, we actually got our policyholders to help
That's awesome.
participate in this.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think
remember
they
that.
had over 100 bags in just that one office. And we thought, we never even thought of that. So my point is, charitable contribution and just giving back to something like Backpack Buddies, Vineyard Family Services, is a way that you can participate in your local community and give back. Brady, just approximately, how much does it save Vineyard Family Services in that 1 month that we do this initiative? What does it typically save them for their?
I'm trying to remember the exact number, but I want to say it's anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year.
Man,
That's big.
And those are, so this is one particular program that there's not, because the nonprofit is based off of a lot on, individual donors, but also a lot of grant programs.
Yeah.
And this is one of the ones that there's not like a specific grant program, so it's a lot of donor contributions. Well, this just helps offset. We call it in kind, but it helps offset the cost of what they're already going to spend it. Right? It just helps offset that cost so they don't have to spend it, and it just puts more money into the organization. And it's just I have seen in 14 years, I've seen how much the organization has grown and the amount of just ministry that they get to do. And it's not that the church is not doing, but there's some areas that they can fill in the gaps and that need to be filled in the gaps. It's just been phenomenal to see what the impact is.
I remember just from us doing that, Brady, I had, before my wife moved to the company she's with now, she's working with another company downtown. Just from that, I think they saw us post. She shared something we posted. Remember, we made some video, or we posted some pictures of our team delivering. Because I think that was the same year. Because we filled up an entire, we had to take a container that you're talking about, Benji, put all the food in it. We had to take it there, put it in a container, bring the container, and then we had to take the container in a box truck to Family Services because they were like, there's just too much stuff for us to load and unload. But just because of all that too, I remember Emily's company, they did packing parties. So they did, so for a couple, 2 or 3 years, they did the same thing in their office, and then Vineyard Family Services came and picked up the items and brought it. So it was just,
that's so awesome.
And then VSF does so much more too, right? It's not just Backpack Buddies. So doing that allows them to help with the other ministries that they're doing, just from one thing, how it offsets and helps everything.
Yeah, like I said, it really, the ministry or the nonprofit is supporting and helping the entire family unit. And so there's lots of stuff that they do. I know that we got a grant last year that is just for how to help kids and work with churches and pastors on sharing their faith with their kids.
That's awesome.
And it's been phenomenal to see what they're doing.
Well, and then through all that, when you guys expanded into the Texas markets, I remember we were trying to find a way. So we don't want to do this just in Birmingham. How do we do this in Dallas, and how do we do it in Houston? And so the team was able to work through that and find very similar type of ministries and organizations that we could partner with to essentially do the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, one of those, Adam, is the First Responder Children's Foundation. They're based out of, I think they're headquartered in New York City, actually. But the way that their mission is a great, if you're not participating with them, I'd encourage you to look them up. Again, First Responder Children's Foundation. What they do is they provide assistance to first responders. So it is, as people donate to their operation, their fund, they are able to give back. It may be through scholarships, through a first responder's child. It might be through a toy drive that they can help those kids at Christmas time. Just because we know first responders, I'll be one to admit they don't get paid enough money. Let's just be honest, they don't.
Yeah.
These people are putting their life on the line to help us every single day. Fire, police, medical, they're all first responders.
Yeah.
And what the First Responder Children's Foundation does is able to provide assistance to those people. And I'd encourage you, if you haven't considered something to donate towards or something to give back to, contact them. The team is, Jillian is the CEO of that company, and she is fantastic to work with. I would encourage you to reach out to them. They will schedule a call and tell you how you can participate in a toy drive in your local market. It's a great resource. So to answer your question, Adam, or your statement rather, that's kind of what we're trying to do to help our other offices as well. So it's a great resource.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's a big thing to do because, we've done that, and then we actually did backpack buddies in the other market, like you were talking about, Brady. That is a national program, and because of that partnership, there we were able to do the same thing. I can't remember which market, but I know we did. I mean, we did Operation Green Wave, and instead of VSF, it was backpack buddies. So we were able to do similar things in every market, but find a way for every team. What's nice is that's the tough part, right? Especially you guys as owners, you're dealing with sometimes totally different markets, and you're dealing with, well, how do we create a team atmosphere in other markets where we can do things that are similar, and bring the team together. And that's something we were able to kind of lock in place to say, hey, we can do similar what we're doing in Birmingham. And, any business owners that might be listening, it's the same thing they could do is say, hey, well, we want to give, but we're in different markets, right? So you can find things similar to help do that. So that way you can really get your team involved and have them say, hey, this is what we're doing as a team. This is how we're giving back. And this is how we're going to try to make change during this holiday season.
Yeah. And another way from an outside perspective that, businesses or people give back to their local communities is through their local church. There are businesses that at the end of the year, maybe they've had a great year and they're looking for a way to offset some of their expenses and what have you, taxes, but they're doing charitable contributions to their local church, which impacts that community as well. So it's not just an organization like we've talked with, Vineyard Family Services and First Responder Children's Foundation. But also you've got the local church, the local community that people can get involved in. And I thought as we kind of, brought this episode to a close, Brady, talk about just a couple things that we've done with our employees that we've been able to give back during the holiday season. It's simple things. So just talk about a couple of those that you may remember.
One thing before that, Benji, I think you were talking about giving back to your church. Obviously, we know, next Friday, Black Friday, people are going to be spending a lot of money, and then the following Monday, Cyber Monday, people are going to be spending a lot of money. But don't forget about Giving Tuesday. So that's the very next day. So we especially as Americans and living in the part of the world that we do have a consumer mindset, and we spend a lot of money. And so I think it's great that right on the heels of that we've got Giving Tuesday. And I know our church just sent out something yesterday about some of the ministries that we'll be supporting as a part of that Giving Tuesday. But wherever you are, you're going to be spending money. Go ahead and prepare to give too. It's just great being generous. Yeah. Some of the ways that we've done it, I mean, typically we've done something on Thanksgiving. I remember years ago, Benji, we gave out turkeys to all of our employees.
We had to go buy some of them.
We did. And I think several years ago we discovered, that's going to be hard to do for 200 people. Yeah. So we do something different, but just helping to provide to our family, our ServPro family, for a Thanksgiving meal. And so we do it in the form of gift cards. That's just a practical way that we can do it. I'd love to go back to the turkeys because it's more real. Gift cards just but
we would have to have about 10 deep freezers to do that.
Well, funny story. This morning when I was pulling out to take my daughter to school, I pulled up. Leo and I, our director of human resources, live in the same neighborhood. So I pulled up next to him and I rolled my window down. I was like, "Hey, buddy, you should be excited. You're getting to go to work." He was like, "I'm about to spend the next 4 hours at Publix buying gift cards because they have to do them individually." He said, "Adam, they know me by name. They know me when I come in because it's like
big customer.
I need this many gift cards." He said every single one of them has to be activated.
He will be there for about 4 hours. And another thing, and this is not necessarily just at during the holiday season, and I can't remember if we've talked about this on the podcast or not, but our organization, we started a care team. And what that care team is really getting the entire organization to fund the care team. And we actually have a committee that meets once a month. And it's not me or Benji. It's 5 of our team members. And they rotate, every quarter, every 6 months.
They volunteered on that on top of what
that's
they're
right.
doing. So it's not in they're doing where they're in the company and pay for it. They said, hey, I'll serve
I'd love to be a part of this.
And be a part of it.
And so what people will do is they have a need, and I suspect that during the holiday season we'll have some needs that pop up, some financial needs. And what's great about that is it's not just Benji and I participating in the care team financially, which we have, but we've got a lot of team members across our organization that have also participated. So when those financial needs come up, then we're able to help people. And we've done this in years past, not necessarily, quote unquote, the care team, but with this initiative that we launched this year, we've already been able to help out so many people. And I, like I said, I suspect that we'll have some more during the holiday season.
Well, and it's a really cool thing too, because one of the things that when I was still on the leadership team, it wasn't just financially. It was like people that said, "Hey, I'll give up. I'll give up days off I have," because especially during the holidays, I can tell you personally, we're fortunate to have parents that can help with it, but just having kids and not being able to, like, if your daycare's closed or school's closed or things like that, so that's you're just talking about giving, Benji. There's so many different ways. I think so many people think financially, right? That's the first thing they hear the word giving, and they're like, oh, what, we don't have the money to give. And you can say, well, you don't have to. Like, what if you have a couple hours you could donate? If your company does that, like, hey, we joke all the time, you don't use them, you lose them. And it's like, well, I've got some days. If somebody's got a day that they need a paid day off to take care of their kids, I'll give some days, or, can I give some of my time and things like that? So I think sometimes as we're thinking about not just business, but just personally, what are different ways that we can do things? It doesn't always have to be money. You can find ways to do things and give that back. So it was really cool.
And Adam's. Oh, I was just going to say. Speaking of that, I've got a friend of mine that I'm in a peer group C12 with, and he runs a big financial group in town. And one thing that he does, and we've actually considered this, we haven't done anything with it yet, but he will give, I think it's either 8 hours or 16 hours of paid PTO time to go volunteer somewhere. So it's not cool. So it's not normal PTO, it's specific volunteers. You got to bring something back of where you served and what you did, but he's actually paying a day or two to anyone in his organization to go and serve the community. I thought that was real neat.
Yeah. That's really good.
No, that's really cool, because you think, that's a way for him to give, to say, hey, here's another way that we as a business can give. But while you're doing that, because it is tough, you're like, well, how am I supposed to, I'm working a 40, 50-hour week. How am I doing that? And then on top of that, like, finding time if you have family. So that's really cool to say, hey, I'm going to go serve. I'm going to go volunteer, this day. So I've never heard of that. That's a really cool way to look at things.
Yeah, and again, as we wrap this episode up, we just want to tell you how thankful we are. Keep your stories coming to us. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the encouragement that we do this for you, and hopefully it gives you some knowledge to share, not in just your local business, but as the guys have said, your personal life as well. One big achievement for us, guys, we just passed the 2,500 download of our episode.
I'm fist pumping, listeners.
I'm
fist pumping.
Milestone.
Watch on YouTube, you can see it.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And as we get again really close to Christmas, we just want to say from our family to you, Merry Christmas, and Jesus is the reason for the season. Connect with us on social media. Appreciate you guys. Tune in next time.
Mm-hmm.